Morning, everybody. This is a continuation of the contract labor agreement negotiations between the city of Boise and the Boise Police Union. My name is Courtney Washburn. I'm the chief of staff for the city of Boise, and I would ask everybody at the table to introduce themselves for the record.
Todd Hanchett with Stoll Reeves on behalf of the city.
Guy Hallam, counsel for the union.
Dana Jones, union.
Darren Lee, union. AJ Veens, union.
Okay. Unless you all have anything that you want to cover, sort of start off with, I'll just jump right in.
Good with us.
Okay. So we're at a point now where I think this is meeting our 10th meeting since we started meeting back in May. And the city has put out a number of proposals, both on economic items and non-economic items. We've had some conversations surrounding a number of those non-economic items. The city has modified its proposals a number of times in response to the concerns that we've heard from the union. Last time there was a little bit of frustration, I think, from our side around just answers coming from the union saying, no, we're not interested, try again, or at least that's how it was perceived on our side. And we haven't made a whole lot of headway. We prioritized those for the union so that you could, in fairness and full disclosure, to understand where the city's priorities were. We've brought in some folks to talk about the city finances and the constraints that are created by the structure in which the city has to operate, as well as the city's priority to increase the number of officers and how that affects the economics here. So we're at a point where we took a look at the items that we had on the table and took a look at the wage proposal, and we're prepared at this point to make the city's best and final offer. So I will go ahead and drop that into the SharePoint and then walk you through what that looks like.
Day 10.
If I can get day 10 to show up.
I think it's going to be at the top.
Oh, there it is. Thank you.
Awkwardly.
Now I'm just going to
Have the, oh, there it is.
Day 10. Yeah, it's at the top.
Okay, so you should see it there now. And let me know when you have it.
Yep, I've got it.
Okay, so I'll talk you through the changes that we made from the last proposal. First is the base pay. So the base pay in this best and final offer is, we've been talking about a 4-year agreement. This is 3% in years 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 3%, 3%, 3%, 3%. The proposal 12, which is item number 3, that's the promotional process language that we had a conversation about last time. That's as modified on September 6th. And you'll recall that the initial proposal on promotional process really took the lieutenants completely out. And this still retains, after we had that conversation and heard the concerns, it retains at least some amount of that in the contract. The changes to the grievance article, that's as proposed on May 23rd. Withdrawal of the counter on the CID proposal, which is the SRO incentive pay, which we talked about last time. Item number 6, city proposal 17. That's as the city amended its proposal on May 22nd, but also removing references to the SRO work week because of the withdrawal of the proposal on SRO. As we discussed last time, item number 7, city proposal 21, shift changes and limits on SOGs. That was as proposed on 9/6. Number 8, we've retained the comp time proposal, which is tied to the move to parental leave that we discussed back in August. Item number 9 is the city's counter to union proposal R on FTOs, as was proposed in June, on June 6th. This is a change. Item number 10 is a change from the proposals we had on the table last time we met, and that's a withdrawal of proposal 23 related to transfers. That's the language that would have struck just cause and referenced city policy. We heard the concerns about that, and so we are withdrawing that proposal as part of this offer. And then the remainder are the same as we've previously discussed. I don't think there's anything really to point out there other than they're consistent with the proposal we had made previously. Many of those are cleanup items, as we've discussed. I know the union wanted to hold on a few of those cleanup items, even though they were language changes. I think the position was that it involved an article that related to economic items. So, but I imagine those won't hold up any progress. And what I will do, same as last time, I'll move the underlying proposals into an associated folder so you can see them all in one place and you don't have to go back and track them down from June and May and July and August, September.
How are you sending those to this then? Like below that, where are you going to send those to?
It's gonna
Yeah,
go
I think,
in the share folder.
yeah, last time we used I think a subfolder just so that they were set off separately.
It'll be like in there. I think he'll build a subfolder.
Probably under city proposals is where we'll put that. Or I can put them in city proposals, but I think that could be a little confusing.
Yeah.
We'll put it in a subfolder. And so just for clarity's sake, the city's proposal on wages last time we met was 2.5, 2.5, 2, 2. And so that's been increased to 0.5% in years 1 and 2 and a full percent in years 3 and 4 to get to 3 across the board.
You guys have any questions?
I don't think so, not right now. Stand up to you.
No, I don't see much change other than the additional percents to the pay.
And the withdrawal of the transfer article, the proposal on transfer article.
Right. Still want to drop comp down to 80 hours, but we can get parental leave, which we already took off the table because our membership's not going to give up their comp time. The FTO remaining at an 8% when you just have a trainee. Miss mandatory training, we discussed that already. Wellness incentive. Still want to pay canine officers less. They would lose money going to that straight time pay on their days off.
Well, we can caucus for a few and go over some of this stuff.
Okay, sounds good.
How long until you have that dropped in there so we can reference it?
It should only take a few minutes.
How long did you guys want?
Let's just start at 30 minutes and then we can knock on the door if any longer. Does that work?
9:45,
We'll get till 11.
Yeah, just do 11.
or sorry, 10:45, yeah.
11.
Yeah.
11 will probably be better.
Okay.
So let me just start things. I want to address one point that maybe was maybe not clear enough to me at the start, but it seemed like there was a suggestion, Todd, by you at the start that the union wasn't negotiating reasonably as part of this process, and I wanted to just address that. You know, we are on day 10, and that's 10 that included no days in July, and that's 10 meetings that included no days in September, and we moved the dates that we had originally scheduled for this one so that the city could have a member of command staff here, and there's no member of command staff here. And so I think it's not fair to suggest that the city or that the union's approach hasn't been reasonable for this. And we went back and looked at what had been EA'd to date. And from the union side, the union has agreed to 10 proposals from the city, and that includes City 1, City 4, City 6, City 16, City 2, City 8, City 15, City 13, City 22, and City 24. So by my count, that's 10 items that the city has proposed that the union has agreed to. And to date, over the course of the 10 days of negotiations that we've had, the city has agreed to union proposal I, which is the physical test incentive. There are, in looking at the city's proposal from this morning, city package number 5, there are a number of items that the union is likely to be able to agree to from the list of 18 items that, I think it was 18 that were 17, excuse me, that were presented as part of this City 5. But I think from the union perspective, there needs to be more back and forth for this to remain in this productive pattern. And the union is ready to continue to do that, but there are a few items that need clarification from the list of 17 that were in city package number 5. So with that being said, let's talk about those.
So in specific, we have, not counting the ones that I believe we can agree to in your list, but we have 6 that I just want to understand exactly what they are. To speak with specifically, was starting with on your list of proposals, line item 6. It's city proposal 17, which is the shift changes as amended 522, but you've put in parentheses, but to remove reference to the SRO work week. So going into that proposal, I understand that the SRO hours are still there. I get that, and the intention is to remove those. So to confirm, then the only change that would take place in that is just changing TED to training division.
That's correct.
Okay. And with line item 7, so city proposal 21, that's the shift change limit on SOGs. We're still trying to understand exactly what the concept was behind that. I believe former Chief Weiniger tried to give us a layout last time. It got muddled pretty quickly. And then I frankly, I'm surprised it's still on the list because he told us himself that it's not even an issue right now. So with that one, we're looking at it. We were trying to take his concept and actually give it a fair shake, but we didn't even understand what still to this day, what's being proposed there. So I don't know if there's any way to get clarification on city proposal 21 when it comes to redefining the shift change for the SOG unit. But that's one we're looking at, trying to look at, can't fully look at until we have kind of a clear pattern of
So,
what the concept is.
yeah, so this one, I mean, you're right. We had a significant amount of discussion about it, and we had an initial proposal. We had a conversation. We understood there were some concerns, so we modified it in response to that. There was, I think, a further conversation and then some additional changes that resulted in this proposal that that we presented in one of our meetings in September, and we did meet council in September. This was presented on the 6th. So I guess I'm not clear on what the question is regarding that proposal. So the language, the proposed change there is in, as I'm sure you have it.
I just pulled it open.
And one of the changes is just changing patrol watch to patrol team because that's the term that's presently being used. And then we had narrowed, I believe, I think that's how we did this, or at least clarified that during that druthering process, 2 slots on each patrol watch, or excuse me, patrol team will be designated for SOG members. And you're right, Chief talked about that not presently being an issue, but wanting to make sure that we were allocating those appropriately across the different shifts. And so that's why I think in response to one of the conversations we had, we modified the proposal to read, once those 2 slots are filled, no other SOG members are eligible to be placed on that team. To make that clear that there are 2 on each of the teams.
Okay.
And like I said, I think you're right. I think what Chief said was he went and did the analysis and looked at who was where, and presently it wasn't an issue.
And if I recall, and thank you for that. A little bit further down, it says the number of SOG members in any other unit may be limited if there's an impact to the level of service to the department or community. So for us, initially we were told this is only going to affect patrol. And then we're given a soft implication that this could affect the department wide based on impact to the levels of service with the community. That's going to affect other parts of our contract, such as druthering by seniority. And so for us, we were just trying to get a holistic view of the entire concept here. Knowing that this isn't an issue, and I understand maybe we're trying to be proactive. I just don't know why we're being so proactive on this. When it comes to now, it's going to start playing dominoes with other parts of the contract.
So is the concern, is the primary concern with the the final sentence of sub 4, the number of SOG members in any other unit may be limited if there is an impact to the level of service. Is that the one that's causing?
No, it's another
Questions?
point of clarification because we were told this was only gonna go for patrol. And then when we were told that, and then I read that, I'm like, okay, so there's a soft implication there that this is clearly could go outside of patrol if necessary. And so other specialty units outside of patrol operate differently. Their seniority is not by ADA, it's by time and unit. And so that's going to affect other parts of the contract. So for us, either we're in or we're out when it comes to patrol. I just want to make sure we have the picture. We were going to talk about this later, but we actually have a meeting set up with the body tomorrow. We had hopes of today having success and reaching some type of goal for tomorrow to meet with the body. So for example, I want to have a clear picture on what this is implicating and what this means if I'm going to go to them tomorrow to explain exactly how the SOU or SOG could be affected, not just in patrol, because we originally told them just patrol, potentially CID caught as well. And so if we could just get clarification on if this is going to affect the entire department, SOG throughout the department, and if so, how we're going to reconcile the effect it has on other parts of the contract.
Can I restate this just so I can follow? So what you're saying is you may or may not be concerned with that. You initially just want a better understanding of the impacts. Is that it?
For line, yes, for line item 7 in your list.
Okay.
I think we understand the gist of what you're trying to say. I feel like it would just be fair to the membership if I had the totality of how far reaching this could actually go.
Okay.
And having to reconcile other parts of the contract if seniority now is going to look different, if time and unit is not necessarily going to be as rigorously held if we bring in this nuance. I hope did that make sense kind of a little bit?
Well, this is just for me, maybe Todd's following better. I'm not sure we'll ever be able to anticipate every scenario of every impact, given that the trigger is the impact on service levels. And I'm not sure we're in a position to play guessing games into the future about that.
Okay.
But we can certainly take a look at it. What I don't know is if you were opposed to the implication that it may impact other parts of the contract, or are you, like, if you're supposed to be easier if you just tell us you're opposed?
Well, I'm going to be, the only reason I'm opposed to it is because it's going to be more work on both of our ends.
Okay.
And we're going to have to relook at everything and we're going to have to rehash what parts get hit and why. So yeah, it's just going to be a bigger workload for both sides. So frankly, is the juice worth the squeeze from the city's side for this proposal, knowing the possible dominoes that are going to come from? That's frankly why what I ask of you guys.
Okay, but so you think the union might be opposed?
Might be opposed to this. I mean, sure, but I want to give them
Okay.
a full picture. I can't,
Gotcha.
just like you said with guests,
Okay.
I can't read their
No,
minds.
that's helpful.
But I don't want to tell them it's only going to affect patrol and then have it affect CID and COD.
Got it.
Line 8 with, excuse me, line 8 with comp time. I just want to, we had two different proposals that kind of happened and they kind of got mixed. We had your original proposal from the city, proposal 3,
Right.
for comp time, which was just reducing it to 240, no buy down, and a week notification.
Right.
Instead of the 72.
Yep.
With you have it saying here tied to city counter to union proposal G parental leave.
Yes.
We've removed that proposal for
Mhm.
parental leave. It's not in our packages that we've been sending with the understanding of it withdrawing it. So the counter that you gave to the parental leave was the 400 hours removal with allowing the parental leave. So which one is the city sticking to? Are you sticking with proposal 3, just the 240 reduction, or the 400-hour reduction?
So this proposal is the reduction that we had proposed in conjunction with adding the ability to access the parental leave under city policy. So.
Okay.
Um, see if I
Okay,
dropped, did I put that?
so the one you dropped was proposal 3.
Mhm.
And so that's where I was trying to understand then it says tied to city counter, but your city counter was a completely different level of hours. So I just clarification on which proposal is the city actually trying to put forth here.
Yeah, so this would have been the one that would have reduced the comp time to basically in an amount commensurate with the entitlement to parental leave. That's what we were looking at. We had tied that
Okay.
together. So
Okay.
that would be the 80 cap.
Correct.
And you're right, that's not clear because the underlying policy or the underlying proposal we were working with was city proposal 3. That was the one that we initially started with. Then we
Yes.
got the proposal from the city or from the union.
Yes.
I don't remember the sequence, whether you proposed first on the parental leave or whether we proposed first on comp time. I think we proposed parental leave.
Well, I think the initial comp time, the reduction to 240 happened. We proposed parental leave separate of it, and then you guys tied a different comp
Correct.
change
Yes.
in conjunction with parental leave. So my final question for that is, if the union has withdrawn the parental leave proposal, are you still trying to now push parental leave onto the membership? Or what is that?
That's our current proposal. Yes. I mean,
Okay.
because,
Okay.
like I said, the union had proposed it.
Yes.
The city sees merit in having, the bargaining unit members be able to access
Okay.
parental leave on the same terms as other employees.
Okay.
So that's the proposal.
Don't look at city proposal 3 anymore, is what I'm being told.
Correct, as modified by the
Okay.
counter. And
Perfect. So look at the conjunction of the parental leave. Thank you.
yes.
And I guess that kind of, so that's going to tie into line 9, line 13, and line 14. So those are the other ones with clarification. So the FTO, same thing. We've withdrawn, or that proposal now is in stasis or MOU with the expiration of the contract. Is the city still pushing the 8% against the now the expiration of the MOU? So that's still on the table.
So that is, yes, that's correct. That is still on the table.
Okay.
The June 6th proposal to increase the incentive to 8%.
When there's a train.
There's a train car.
Correct. And for the canine, understanding that we had initially proposed a proposal for canines, that he gave us a counter. That counter is going to end up with canines making less money based on other parts of the contract being affected. For example, when it talks about overtime, anything outside of a regularly scheduled shift, an officer receives overtime for that. So those canines are going to receive a reduction in pay. If we've withdrawn that proposal, the city is still pushing that counter?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct. And the proposal there is to pay that at a flat amount per week, as opposed to requiring the time to be tracked or requiring that the time to be actually spent and accounted for by the officer.
Okay.
It's just it would be a straight 2 hours per week.
Okay. And then I won't get into 14 because it's the same principle. So that's been clarified. Still active, even if we've withdrawn the initial
Yes.
proposal. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Although I think
Line 14, the city counter to union proposal L, I believe that was the call out.
Which number? I'm sorry.
Line 14 is city counter to union proposal L as proposed June 6th.
Okay.
I can pull that up real quick.
I'm just gonna get to it here.
Excuse me, thanks. So this was the reducing the removal, the union of primarily issued a proposal for members on SOG, SRO, K9, and drone to receive 4 hours of call out.
Mhm.
Your counter was to remove that and to increase all members in the department from
Mhm.
2 to 3 hours.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So principal stays.
Yes.
If we've withdrawn, the counter still stays. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. And that was just for me. I just
Mhm.
wanted to understand how these actually operate. Okay. Do you have anything with that? Kind of clear things up for us. With that, do you mind if we take 20 minutes
Not at all.
and then we can come back with a response?
Did
you have anything you
need
wanted to
to
bring up?
know their clarification on 21? It feels like
Let me look at 21.
that's the SOG
Seven.
inquiry, line 7.
Druther.
City 21 is a proposal, but it's line 7.
Yeah, and maybe I should have been more direct. I was under the assumption, I was hoping for more clarification on that. Conceptually, is that just going to stay in patrol? Is that going to affect the entire department? Are we going to need to look at impacts on other clauses in the regards to seniority and druthering?
So why don't we have a conversation about that
Okay.
and how we see that playing out?
Okay.
And then we can bring that back to you. You can put that into the mix of
Okay.
everything you have, and that way you have hopefully at that point, a full understanding of the proposal as it was intended. And then you can have a conversation about it, whatever you need to talk about
How
at that
much time do you need?
Okay.
point. It won't take us all that long, I wouldn't say. 20 minutes would be my guess. So is it
145?
Let's just do 45.
45 works? Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
We good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we had a chance to talk about city proposal 21. In particular, the point you raised at the end of sub 4, and I understand the concerns, and we didn't take the time to kind of run each possible scenario down, but hearing the concern that you raised, we would be willing to strike that final sentence in section 4, the one that says the number of SOG members in any other unit may be limited if there is an impact to the level of service to the department or community, so that we don't have to engage in that exercise and we can try to move things along.
Okay. So with that, the intention then is to keep the SOG inside patrol.
Correct.
If that's
The
how
cap.
this would work. The druthering for SOGs limited to just patrol shifts.
Correct.
Okay. So that would be.
And what I will do is
I'll just put notes.
I'll modify the version that we have in there right now. I'll note that it's modified 1015 and I'll strike that.
Okay.
If you're modifying stuff, would you do the modification to city 17 as well? That still has.
Which one is that?
That still has that's the shift change, but it still has the SRO language in.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Okay.
Do that on the next break.
That kind of covers it for me for the SOG. Guys, do you have anything?
No, well, the
Some of this-
SOG, I guess I do have one clarifying question.
Okay.
Will they be druthering by seniority, or how are they seniority as their time in unit, or seniority as straight seniority? So when you go into those positions, obviously they have a hierarchy of who's been in the unit longer by seniority. And then when they come out to druther anything else by seniority, that's patrol strictly done by seniority. So how will those members, how will they be druthering?
yeah.
Because the potential for, I mean, if I'm on one of those teams, right?
Mm-hmm,
And now I'm, say, getting bumped for my watch because I'm low man on that unit.
mm-hmm.
Now I potentially went from working a day shift to a graveyard because I'm on the CNT team. So that would be a clarification question, because you could potentially lose people, right? They'd be like, I don't want to be on this team anymore because now I got to work graveyard because there's only so many slots, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's the question, is how will they be seniority based othering into a seniority system?
So I think what we talked about last time was that the druthering on patrol is by ADA number.
Correct.
And so are you saying that something that there would, are you suggesting there would be a different way of doing that?
That's why I'm asking, will they be
Because I
druthering
remember,
by ADA, or will they be druthering by their seniority in their unit?
the conversation that I think I recall, but tell me if you have it differently, was I thought Chief was talking about strictly by ADA number. And I thought that was the conversation that we
But
were
that's,
having.
that's, I guess that's my question, because it doesn't specify, like, I know what former Chief Weiner said, but without it being in the language, those are questions that are going to come up.
But it does say, doesn't it, that yeah, all members
That's what-
assigned to uniform patrol division have the right to utilize seniority to solely determine their shift by ADA number. So
So
does that,
strict
so
ADA
it's just
then,
strict ADA number
not time in unit for them.
for them, correct? That's how I read it, and that's the conversation that I thought we had.
So the new guy who goes into POD, he's brand new, bottom of the SOG unit. If his ADA, he's still kind of a veteran guy, his ADA would still give him the ability to druther the patrol shift that he wants in patrol. Is that how I'm understanding that? Right, it's not.
That's how
time
I
in unit,
understand
It's
it.
not time in unit anymore. We're now putting seniority throughout the entire
Straight seniority.
department when it comes to SOG.
Yeah.
Okay,
But he could still potentially lose a spot on that shift because there's only 4 spots on that entire watch for SOU members. 2 per team,
Two
so
per
4
team.
per watch.
okay.
The potential, yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure
Correct.
that we're
I think that's right.
consistent through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, other than SOU workout time, members of SOU don't get any additional compensation for doing those SOU things.
RCNT or REOD,
But that's all of SOU.
SOG.
And so
SOG,
we want to penalize those members for doing extra stuff, what they get very little to no extra compensation for a problem that doesn't exist. So this is a solution in search of a problem.
That's the
It
challenge.
hasn't occurred, it's not occurring, but it may occur in the future. I got that right?
Todd, does that make sense? Like, as far as you potentially now can have a person that's on that team
Mm-hmm.
that's going to get bumped from a watch that they want to work because they have to druther into those spots. So that the downward trickle is going to be impactful. 2 per unit with 3 different specialty units.
I think.
And the backlash of that is you may lose members of those units who have a significant amount of training because their life's impacted by, they're now limited to what shift they can work.
Right.
So clearly, there's still challenges that we need to discuss, but now I think we understand and have a clear picture of it. So, it's 1:50. I think just like 30 minutes.
Okay.
You guys are good for us to go back and then we
Sure.
have a response for you.
Mhm.
Let's go to 2:30,
2:30?
Yeah.
Okay,
and then we'll come back with something.
sounds good.
Okay, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Says it's in and out. It's going.
So I did look into this, and it's, the recording is working, the broadcasting is not. And so at least from the city side, I'm comfortable moving forward if at such time the recording stops working, then I'm gonna have to find someone to physically take minutes of this meeting. But as they are working on the problem and it's a live stream problem, not a recording problem, so. But if that changes, we're gonna have to adjust.
Fair enough. Appreciate the patience. Union is prepared to respond. And I will be dropping that into our response folder for today. It's going to be called October 15th, package 5. You can open it up and we'll take a look at that. So we can kind of go down line item because there's quite a bit added to this. So top of it, I'll currently sign TAs. Our contract length, we've heard the city, we want to stick to 4 years. That's the goal at this point. Our base wages, we've moved it to a 5, 4.5, 4.5, 4, which would put us at 18 over 4. That is a 2.5% reduction as compared to the city's 3% increase today. Putting the two parties only a mere 6% apart from each other, or 1.5% per year over 4. So the CID incentive has stayed, the shift diff has stayed, the union proposal for on-call has stayed. The 3 of those put together only account for a mere $159,000 a year. The union is agreeable to the withdrawing city counter of union proposal, CID proposal, which is city's line item 5. I'm going to be referencing your guys' package to just kind of show which ones are connecting where. So union is agreeable to city line item 5. Agreeable today. The union is agreeable to line item 10 in the city's proposal. The union is agreeable to line item 12 in the city's proposal. The union is agreeable to line item 16 in the city's proposal. The union is agreeable to line item 6, with the understanding of the removal of the SRO language.
Yeah, and I went through and made that change. So
Okay,
it's updated
perfect.
in the folder.
Perfect. And the union is agreeable to line item 11 from the city's proposal. And the union is agreeable, or we would actually like to send a counter in regards to the promotional process. I'll make sure I have it right.
Yes. That's correct.
And so in regards to the promotional process, I'll be adding this counter into the same box. That one is titled City Proposal 12 Recounter Promotional Process. So to give you a quick overview of what that is, because there's going to be a lot of red language. We have, this has been as you guys are well aware, a process for the union discussing this, hashing this out, and we believe that we have come to an understanding and an agreement in regards to the promotional process on the union side. To sum up this language, we are proposing that the sergeant promotional process be mirrored over to the lieutenant promotional process. So as the sergeant promotional process, if AJ, if you'd like to speak a little more on this.
Well, basically with the understanding that the city still retains the ability to control and designate what the process is for lieutenant. If the testing includes external candidates, this testing process still be open to 6-year officers. Everybody will be evaluated in the same manner. Tested the same. There'll be a ranking list based on the test scores. there would be no preferential for sergeants. However, the change in here would give sergeants only 3 additional points towards their final score for internal sergeants. And then it would give the chief the discretion to pick from the top 3 qualified personnel with the ability that he could skip somebody up to 2 times before having to provide just cause. And then once that just cause was provided, the person will be removed from the promotional list after being given a written explanation for that just cause. So would be a testing process like we have now. Everybody would be ranked. Wouldn't give any, the only preference it would give to internal candidates would be for the sergeants. It would give them an additional 3 basically percentage points on their final score. With the noting that the chief can pick from the top 3, if there's more than 1 vacancy, then he picks from the 2 remaining in the top 3 and the number 4 candidate, and so on and so forth.
We think we have found a way to have the understanding that our internal candidates have a preference, that we desire them, we respect them, we appreciate the buy-in and the effort that they've put in here, while at the same time ultimately understanding that the discretion lies with the chief. And so for us, the sergeant promotional process has worked. It's worked cleanly. And we think if we can mirror that over to the lieutenants, I think we can bridge the gap that has been existing. Do you guys have any questions about that?
Courtney, do you have anything?
No.
No, I don't think I have any questions.
Okay. With that being, that was the final line item. And then all of the proposals are withdrawn and language stays status quo for both sides. So that's our proposal.
So I certainly appreciate the work and the thought that you've put into that. I mean, I'll tell you, our proposal this morning was presented as and labeled as a best and final. And that is where we are. That is the city's best and final. So while I appreciate the work that's gone into this and the efforts to make some attempt at some language on the promotional process, we're not interested in moving in that direction. The city is interested in the language that we have on the table. And that is in as part of that package, that is the city's best and final offer.
You understand that the proposal we just gave you gives you way more latitude than what you guys currently have, right? You understand that?
Well, I don't know that it.
Language that you guys propose still binds you to internal preference unless there's an equal scoring. Then you take the internal. We're giving the chief full discretion for top 3 candidates. And we're just saying 3 preferential points for internal candidates. So I'm going to have to push back on what you just said. We're actually giving more latitude. This isn't just a simple change of language. We have completely abdicated our position from what the language change was made 2 years ago to revert back to how this previously was operating. That's what the union just did. So I completely disagree with your characterization of what this proposal is. This was a complete reversal.
That's fair.
So
Yeah, that's fair.
And I understand I can say whatever I want, and that's fine.
No,
but understand that this is giving more discretion to the chief to pick the fully qualified candidates that you guys believe the best candidates should be hired. This does that. So this is what the city has been looking for, and they have just received it. We were able to find middle ground. We've had our discussions. We've hammered this out, and we believe we have found a way with just 3 simple percentage points for preferential sergeants, just for towards the sergeants. We think this is a way that we can go forward. So this isn't just a simple language change. This is what the city has been looking for. So that's all. I just want to make that very clear that I know you say you want to move in a different direction towards yours, but yours is more restrictive for the chief. Why wouldn't you take a serious look at our proposal or our counter for the promotional process? It is giving you the latitude you are actually seeking.
Because the proposal that we have on the table is sufficient, we think, to afford the membership credit for the internal candidates in the right circumstances, but also reserves the discretion outside of that to the chief. And it addresses the concerns that we have about this. It's, I don't want to rehash the whole thing, but
Sure.
it's a position outside of the bargaining unit, and it should fall to the chief to select the best person for the job.
And your proposal is binding his hands more than our proposal does. Just to make that very clear.
I mean, you could interpret it as such. Yeah.
The language is, that's why we have a contract. It's read and it's understood in a certain way. And when we say open discretion for the top 3 most qualified candidates, that's what that means.
Mhm.
So.
No, I understand it. And like I said, I mean, I'm being sincere. I appreciate the thought that went into it.
Thank you.
And you did, you kind of went in a different direction. And I think, credit where credit's due on that, but we're comfortable with what we had proposed. And so I guess I'm,
Okay.
if it's more protective of the members as we've proposed it, I guess I wouldn't think that would be problematic from the.
I guess, yeah, maybe that's my fault for assuming. So yeah, that's fair. So what does that mean then when you say this is final and binding? Is the city declaring an impasse at this point?
I'm not declaring an impasse. I'm telling you this is the best and final offer. So
Okay, I'm gonna need some clarification on what that means then, because at this point, we've offered a counter. We've met you on most of the stuff that you guys have proposed on this package, plus the 10 TAs that we've already signed. That'll probably put us up to 16, 17 TAs that we've agreed to from the city. As I said before, our base wages are 6% apart. That's 1.5% a year over 4 years.
yeah,
I would
and
call
we're
that in spitting distance.
and we're topped out where we are. We gave you all of it.
So are we not expecting a counter from the city?
No. Should not expect a counter from the city.
And how are we not supposed to interpret that as an impasse? Are we supposed to just come back and talk about random things in the future, or what does this look like?
I mean, you can interpret it however you want to. The question was whether we were declaring impasse, and I'm telling you that we're not at this point.
Okay.
But the city's done negotiating.
What I've explained to you is that is our best and final. So if there are things, I mean, I'm willing to talk about things that you want to talk about, but I'm telling you where we are.
Progress is made through proposals, not through talking. Talking gives us clarification to create more accurate proposals and counter proposals, yes. But if you're expecting us to come back and to continue throwing proposals at you guys and whittle ourselves down, we've come where we're at, and we're asking for a counter. If you're not giving us a counter, then I don't know what to call this anymore.
Are you asking for the membership to vote on the city's last and final tomorrow?
I'm not asking you. That's your prerogative. That's your decision. This is your negotiation from that standpoint. But I owe it to you to be clear in terms of where the city is.
So what are what are the city's plans?
That's what I'm trying to do.
We're in an expired contract. What is the city's plans going forward? This day will end eventually today. Are we putting another date on the books? What is this going to look like then? if we are not expecting another proposal, if this is the one we are staring at, what are we expecting from the city?
Well, I'm not sure, given where we are, what there is to talk about at an additional meeting. So if you were to suggest putting an additional meeting on the calendar, I would ask, what is there that we should discuss? What is the agenda for that meeting?
Okay.
What ground can we cover? What progress can we make? Given what I've told you is where we are from our side.
Okay.
Which I think, which I interpret and what our membership interprets is what we're hearing at this side of the table is that you're done negotiating and you're not going to give us a counter on. That's what you're saying.
We are not going to come back with a counter to your proposal because we've given you our best and final.
Okay.
So no counter proposals. There's nothing worth talking about if we were to set another date. How else am I supposed to interpret this? Than an impasse. That's literally the definition of an impasse.
I mean, it may well be. I don't know. I mean,
What do you mean?
but
I'm asking you.
It's a legal
You guys are
term. I can't tell you whether we're at impasse. I'm not telling you that we're declaring impasse. The question that you asked was whether we were declaring impasse. And then at this point, I'm not.
You're not. Okay. Do we need to then set a new date to see if you'll declare an impasse on that date?
I don't think we need a date to do that. No.
But if I'm hearing it right, you're walking away from the table.
Today.
If you're not going to give a counter to our counter, we countered your proposal. If you're not going to give another counter, you're basically done. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know how to interpret it any other way. Other than you coming out and saying, we're done negotiating with you.
I mean, I don't know what else.
I
don't know what else to tell you other than what I've
telling us how this is looking. Like how you have to understand. I have a meeting with the entire membership tomorrow.
Mhm.
What in the world am I supposed to tell them?
You can tell them that you received the city's best and final, and here's what it looks like. And you can walk them through the proposals.
And then would you like me to shoot you an email on what their response is to that?
Again, you can do whatever you need to do on your side. I can't tell you what to do.
Okay, but I'm asking what you would like to do on your side. Because basically you've tossed this out and you're like, okay, we're gonna go now. Maybe we'll catch up later, maybe we won't. That I'm gonna call that a stonewalling from the city.
No, it's actually being really straightforward and telling you where the city is on all of these items.
Okay.
I would suggest to you it's the opposite of that. And that's what I'm trying to do, is trying to be abundantly clear
No
with
more
you
counters,
where the city is.
no need for dates. There's nothing left to propose. This was the final offer from the city. You are not entertaining any counters from us. And this is where we stand. Correct?
I mean, look, if you
I'm
have,
trying to clarify.
yeah, no, that's fair. If you have counters that you wish to send, of course, we'll look at them. But I don't want to create expectations where there ought not to be any.
Okay. Message received.
So just so the record's clear, Union 5 that was just presented is rejected by the city. Is that correct?
Like I said, the proposal we have creates a structure. This is a promotional process. Yes.
No,
He's talking
the package.
Oh, the package.
Yes, the package that the union just presented, package number 5.
Yes.
Is rejected.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else the city would like to bring up or discuss at this time?
We have nothing, nothing further at this time.
I don't believe we have anything else on our side. It appears that our discussions aren't bear any fruit today, so it's probably best to call it.
Okay, sounds good.
But
Okay. We're good.
we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.